Ever looked up and seen those weird trails airplanes leave behind?
Yeah.
The ones that kind of hang around,
Yeah.
spread out, make these crazy shapes.
Yeah.
Some people, they think it's more than just the normal stuff.
Right.
They call them chemtrails, like it's some secret government thing. Been around for ages, right? All over the internet. Fuels that whole don't trust the man vibe. So today we're going deep on this, the chemtrail thing.
It really gets to you, doesn't it? Like everyone wants to know what's going on, up there.
Yeah. And the explanations, weather control, keeping the population down, even wilder stuff like mind control. Sounds crazy, like straight out of some movie, huh?
It does.
But let's back up. What do people actually point to? Like, what's their evidence?
Well, the main thing is like how those trails actually look.
Yeah.
Crisscrossing, hang around forever. They say normal trails, they disappear fast.
Right. I've seen pictures, like grids in the sky, almost. Makes you
Yeah.
think, for sure. But, like, scientifically, what makes those trails? Any trails?
It's the engine, right? Hot exhaust. Up high, the air's super cold, dry.
Okay.
So it's like seeing your breath on a freezing day. That moisture, it turns into ice crystals, makes those white streaks.
So how long it hangs around, that depends on the air up there.
Exactly. Humid air, they can last hours, spread out, even make those wispy clouds, cirrus clouds.
Huh.
And near airports, lots of traffic, those crisscrosses, just planes on their routes.
Makes sense. But then there's the health stuff, right? People saying they get sick, breathing problems, tired all the time, headaches even. Places where they see a lot of chemtrails. Could there be like a link?
I get why people think that, especially if they already, believe it. But in science, just because two things happen at the same time doesn't mean one causes the other.
So even if there's more sickness somewhere, saying it's chemtrails, that's jumping the gun.
Could be, yeah. Lots of things make you breathe bad or feel tired. Allergies, pollution from cars, factories, even stress. Gotta look at those first.
Okay, so we've got the looks of the trails, the health stuff, but the big one, right, is this cover-up idea. Like the government's hiding something. People point to, like, old documents about messing with weather. Project Popeye, back in Vietnam. Proof they've been at it for years. What's the truth there?
Well, governments have tried to change weather, that's true. Project Popeye, yeah, they made it rain more during the war. They admitted to that.
So making it rain, that's real, but it's not this massive, chemical spraying thing like the chemtrail folks say.
Nope. Cloud seeding, that's what's called. Tiny amounts of stuff like silver iodide into clouds, makes them rain more. Very targeted, controlled, mostly for droughts or stopping hailstorms.
Interesting. So government did mess with weather, but not how or why, people think. But then they say agencies like the EPA, they ignore all this, won't investigate. Why do people think there's a cover-up if there's nothing there?
That's the conspiracy thinking, right? Some folks, it's easier to believe something's hidden than that it's just, normal.
Distrusting the powers that be. But a program this big, global, shouldn't there be, like, real proof somewhere?
You'd think. Think about it. Keeping it all secret. Pilots, airlines, people directing flights, scientists, the companies making this stuff. Could that many people keep quiet for decades?
Good point. And haven't they tested, like, the air, the ground for these chemicals?
Oh, yeah, tons of studies. Independent ones, too, looking for aluminum, barium, all the stuff they claim is up there.
What'd they find?
Back in 2016, they asked 77 scientists, air and earth experts. The huge E majority found nothing to back up the chemtrail theory. Weird reading, sure, but those were natural or from pollution down here, not planes. Feel like every time they debunk it, something else pops up, like whack-a-mole with the wrong info.
Yeah, that's it. But it's weird, huh? No proof, but people still believe. It's like the psychology of it all, Conspiracy theories.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of these theories, chemtrails too, it's this hidden knowledge thing. You're special, you see what others don't. Like, powerful, man. You got the real truth, the media, the government's hiding it.
Like a secret club almost.
Yeah.
And social media, it's like a megaphone for all this, right? You only see stuff that agrees with you.
Social media changed everything, for sure. Spreads info, true or not, so fast. And you find all the people thinking the same way, even if there's no proof.
Right, they get all tight-knit online. Like a movement, but for something that, most scientists say it's bogus.
And that's where it gets tricky. Gotta respect what people believe, even if we don't agree. But spreading stuff, that's just wrong. That has real effects out here in the world.
Like what kind of effects?
Well, people stop trusting the real deal, Institutions, experts, if they think the government scientists lie about chemtrails, why trust them on anything? Health stuff, climate change.
That's kind of scary. And it's not just distrust. If everyone's worried about chemtrails, they miss the real problems, right? Stuff we should be worried about.
It's the boy who cried wolf, yeah, yelling about chemtrails all the time. And meanwhile, the air's actually polluted, the climate's changing, and for that, we got proof.
So what do we do? How do we fight back against the fake stuff without, making people mad, like telling them they're stupid for believing it?
It's a tough one. You got to start with understanding, I think. See where they're coming from. What are they scared of? What makes them believe this?
Instead of just like shutting them down, right? You got to get the why.
Exactly. Then maybe you can gently, give them other explanations. Stuff with evidence.
But some people, they're so dug in, they won't even listen, right?
Those are the hardest, yeah. But you still got to try, even just to make them wonder a little. Sometimes a different view, said calmly, respectfully. That's enough to get them thinking.
Okay. So, understanding, evidence, talking it out nicely. Good stuff. But back to the science for a sec. Cloud seeding, that's real. We talked about that. But there's also this geoengineering thing, right? The chemtrail folks, they say that's proof the government's messing with the weather big time. What is that, really? Is it happening?
Geoengineering, it's a kind of catch-all term. Any big technological thing to change the Earth's climate, they talk about it for climate change, but it's got people worried.
How come?
Well, what if we screw things up worse,
Yeah.
Mess with the system, create new problems, bigger than the ones we're trying to fix.
Messing with Mother Nature, kind of.
Yeah.
But are there any, actual plans for it? Serious ones?
One they talk about a lot is solar radiation management. Basically, bouncing some sunlight back into space to cool the planet down. There's ideas about putting stuff in the atmosphere, making clouds brighter, all that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why that'd be controversial.
Yeah.
Messing with the whole world's weather.
For sure. And there's the whole question of, who decides? Who takes the risk? Big ethical stuff we got to figure out before we go messing with the planet like that.
So geoengineering, it's an NN idea, but not this secret chemtrail thing. And even if it was happening, it'd be hugely controversial. But the fact that they even talk about it, that probably feeds the conspiracy.
Oh, totally. If you already believe, then the fact that scientists are even looking at it, that's proof enough, even though it's not the same thing, all.
Any info, no matter what it is, it gets twisted to fit, huh?
That's the tricky thing with misinformation. It plays on our fears, and once it's in your head, it's hard to get it out.
So here's the thing. Science says chemtrails aren't real, but people still believe.
Yeah.
What does that tell us about, how we decide what's true, what we believe in?
It shows how strong confirmation bias is. We look for things that agree with us, even if there's no good reason to believe it.
We see what we want to see, and online, it's easy to find that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Makes those echo chambers even worse.
Exactly. And once you believe something, especially if it's scary, makes you distrust people. It's really hard to change your mind, even with proof.
It's like we want to believe, even when it doesn't make sense. But if we all do that, how do we, stop it? How do we get better at thinking critically?
Man, that's the big question, isn't it? No easy answer. But I think got to start by knowing ourselves. We all have biases, right? Things we just assume are true.
So first step, admitting we could be wrong. That's tough for a lot of people, especially if they really believe something.
Yeah, no doubt. But it also kind of frees you up, Once you accept you might be wrong, it lets in new stuff, new ways of looking at things.
Makes sense, like taking off blinders. But even if we're open-minded, there's so much info out there, online especially. How do we even know what's real anymore?
That's where the critical thinking comes in. Big thing is, look at WHO saying it. What's their deal? Are they selling something, pushing an agenda?
Right. Just because it's on a website, social media, doesn't make it true. Don't believe everything you read, right? But it's not just D who said it. It's also the proof, right?
100%. What kind of proof they got? Real studies, sources you can trust. Or is it just stories, opinions?
And even with studies, gotta look closer. How'd they do the study? Did other people find the same thing?
Exactly. Don't be afraid to dig in. If it sounds too good to be true, probably is. Check different places, see if anyone else is saying the same thing, and be ready to say, hey, maybe I was wrong about this.
It's like detective work, right? Gather the clues, put them together,
Yeah.
And sometimes what you find out, it's not what you expected or wanted to hear.
That's what's great about thinking critically. It helps us learn, change our minds, not about being right all the time, but being open to learning new stuff.
So wrapping up our deep dive here into chemtrails,
Mm-hmm.
what should people take away from this?
Well, science says it's not real, but people believe it anyway. That tells us something, doesn't it? about how strong belief can be, the mystery of hidden knowledge, and how hard it is to fight bad information, especially now with so much of it flying around.
We got to be smarter
Yeah,
about what we believe, what we share. That's for everything, not just this chemtrail stuff.
totally. Reading the news, on social media, even talking to friends, thinking critically, that's how we make sense of it all.
Well said. That's all the time we got for today's deep dive on the chemtrails conspiracy theory. Hope you learned something, got you thinking a bit, and maybe even had some fun along the way. Until next time, stay curious and keep those brains working.